Very good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm really happy to have this conversation again with you, though through these amazing digital artifacts that we are creating everywhere. Uh, Today, my topic is on education, and I'm focusing on curriculum. When you talk about basics of curriculum, sometimes we get lost into various definitions and then also various analogies and also some sort of confusion on what is curriculum and how does it work. That's the reason we are focusing on understanding what are the curriculum approaches and how to define curriculum and what is the theory and practice and who are the curriculum workers. And in the first part, we will look into the curriculum field like that, and then in another video, I will be talking about curriculum foundations. Yeah. That way, we will be able to actually grasp what is happening in this domain since 2018 also, when Ornstein and Hornkins actually published a book on 2018. Since then, it has been some kind of highly cited and highly followed book. What they talk about is traditionally there was a narrow view of curriculum as a field of study. There, they talked about curriculum as subjects taught in schools, right? So whatever subjects you have, that's your curriculum, and then you teach that one. I think most of the universe still practices that to the maximum level. But the broad view that they have suggested is to curriculum as experiences that individuals, like teachers, students, require for full participation in society. Okay, that drove the discussion like curriculum is a dynamic field. It's not static on the subject matters only. That way, the field of curriculum is intended not to provide precise answers, but to increase our understanding of its complexities. Right? Life is not only multiple choice questions. So, curriculum results from social activity and is designed for both present and emerging purposes. Okay, so this is the whole paradigm shift from what was actually delivered in the past. And if you look into the approaches taken in this view, we will be looking into perceptions, values, and knowledge that we will be using as a reflection point. It's like more reflexive, and then also more practice plus reflection both. That is reflexive, and then also having curriculum as subject also, like content also, but mostly experience, and then also embedded into that you have on a wider level the praxis. So if you look into this cross-cutting interdisciplinary approach to thinking, it has philosophy, history, psychology, learning theory, and social issues. All of these are here, and it can be common domain, or you can very important knowledge within the field, right? So then also curricular theories and practice also very important to look into. And the curriculum approach reflects our views of schools and society. An approach expresses a viewpoint about curriculum development and design, the role of the learner, teacher, parents, and curriculum specialist in planning curriculum, the curriculum's goals, and the important issues that must be examined. All of these things are used as a way of dealing with something, a way of doing or thinking about something, like if you look into the dictionary definition. So we'll be using perceptions, values, and knowledge as a reflection point and then co-created with the society. The approach is that we will be briefly touching upon our behavioral approach, managerial approach, systems approach, academic approach, humanistic approach, and postmodern approach. So if you look into the upper part, that the first ones, the behavioral, managerial, systems, and academic, these actually top to bottom approach. and then also scientific and rational ones, technocratic and rigid ones, and they focus on cognition, teacher centric, and focus on outcome. However, if you look into humanistic approach and postmodern approach, they have bottom to top approach, value based approach, social and moral life becomes the centerpiece. They focus on cognitive, affective, psychomotor, and spiritual dimensions. This is new additions to the earlier discussions we had in other subjects. And then it is student centric and it focuses on both process and outcome. It's not only giving the equal opportunity but deriving the equal result. Okay, so if you go into behavioral approach from Franklin Bobbitt and W. W. Charters to Ralph Taylor and then Hilda Taba, those University of Chicago school scholars, they actually followed this approach. And the oldest and still dominant since 1920s. It is based on technical and scientific principles for formulating curriculum. Also, like goals and objectives are specified, content and activities are sequenced to coincide with the objectives, and learning outcomes are evaluated in relation to the goals and objectives. I think most of the humanity still runs on this formula. Learning outcomes are evaluated as a change in behavior. Everything the students do must be observable. Focus on training people to develop skills, and also called prescriptive, logical, conceptual, empiricist, experientialist, rational, scientific, and technocratic curriculum. So this is interesting to look into that. Okay, but then the second approach started this managerial and administrative school models, and they in the 1900s they actually became the dominant in 1950s and 60s. And these are based on organizational theory, organizing people and policies, right? And then also consider the school as a social system in which students, teachers, curriculum specialists, and administrators interact. Educators plan the curriculum in terms of programs, schedules, space, sources, and equipment and personnel. It promotes innovation in school through curriculum specialists, supervisors, and administrators as change agents, resource persons, facilitators, and so on and so forth. It was on a plan, rational principles, and logical steps. That was 1900s, after 60s. So some of these role of curriculum supervisors can be thought of like a guiding guidepost for planning, designing, scheduling, organizing, observing teachers, and giving feedback and evaluating, and so on and so forth. In the systems approach, like influenced by George Bockham's systems theory of curriculum, the organizing curriculum into systems of like five components: administration, counseling, curriculum, instruction, and evaluation. Now it became some kind of little bit structured. And superintendents, directors, coordinators, and principals plan the curriculum. The curriculum stages, development, design, implementation, evaluation, all of them actually becomes curriculum structures like subjects. They build the subjects like structures like subjects, courses, unit plans, and lesson plans. This works on the basis of organizational diagrams, flow charts, and committee structures. Departments, personal equipment, and schedules are planned to change people's behavior. So this is also a very interesting approach in that angle. Then came the academic approach in like 30s and 50s, like John Dewey, Henry Morrison, Boyd Ward, and all of those latest influencers. Now, still we are studying them now. Tends to be historical or philosophical and to a lesser extent social or practical. Includes various instructional, teaching, learning, guidance, evaluation, supervision, and administrative procedures. The major focus on the structure of knowledge and organization of subject matter into subjects and on training and development of mind, that is cognition. Overemphasis on treating a learner as an individual. In 50s, it gradually lost its glamour and since then, gradually. Its focus is on postmodern perspectives, such as understanding how knowledge can be constructed, deconstructed, and then reconstructed. Addresses much more than subject matter, and pedagogy, such as the foundational topics, usually historical, philosophical, social, and political. That is academic approach. Then came the humanist approach, okay, rooted in progressive philosophy and child-centered movement of the early 90s. John Dewey, Charles Jude, and Francis Parker, they all actually built this approach. These methods based on the student's natural development and curiosity with the growth of student-centric method. And then also it focuses on cooperative learning, independent learning, small group learning, and social activities as opposed to competitive teacher-dominated large group learning. Students are self-concept oriented, self-esteem, having self-esteem and personal identity are essential factors in learning. Contribution to teachers, contribution of teachers and students, parents, and community is very important. This emphasizes on socialization and life adjustment for students, as well as stronger family ties and school community ties. That became a little bit of humanistic approach. Okay. Then postmodern approach, rooted in the philosophy and social activism, that is social reconstructionism, an extension of humanistic approach concerning change and reform. There is no precise, certain way to create curricula. Curriculum development is more like a communal conversation. Curriculum development is not a closed system but remains open. Curriculum is interactions with political, economic, social, moral, and artistic forces, and school as an extension of society and students as society changing agents, and it's designed to preserve the existing social order and its inequalities. That way, we captured the all approaches that are available so far practiced in the curriculum field. But then the question is, what is curriculum? What is its purpose? How does it affect students and teachers? The way we define curriculum reflects our approach to it. For example, some popular definitions of curriculum are curriculum as a plan for achieving goals, right? Curriculum as dealing with learners' experiences, right? Then curriculum as a field of study itself with its own foundations, knowledge domains, research theory, principles, and specialists. And curriculum as subject matter, right? And all of these are the challenges of definition of curriculum. So how to actually understand in a very nutshell way? So this is challenging to define. However, you need to come up with some conceptual metaphor to actually build your own recipe out of all of these multiple options that you have available. Then what is curriculum theory then? A field of study involves both theoretical and practical knowledge, and the theory of one establishes the field's framework and helps researchers and practitioners analyze and synthesize data, organize concepts and principles, suggest new ideas and relations, and speculate about the future. Good theory prescribes actions to be taken. Also, curriculum theory involves decisions about the use, development, design, and evaluation of curriculum. And this theory describes and explains the concepts, principles, and relationships that exist within the field and has predictive value. Okay. And if you look into the practice, the theory informs practice and vice versa, because without practice, theory does not evolve, and without theory, you cannot initiate a frame of reference to start and have a conversation with the practice. Practice involves selecting strategies and rules, procedures, methods, and skills that apply to various situations. And when people directly involved with curriculum must deal with practices. Theories should be workable for these practitioners, make sense, have explanatory power, and be applicable to the real world of classrooms and schools. Successful teaching results in procedures, methods, and skills that can be effectively applied in different situations. And good curriculum practice includes understanding the constraints and specifics operating conditions within the school and comprehending the school's priorities and the needs as well. Right? So, who are the curriculum workers and their roles then? Curriculum workers are curriculum experts, people in the policy level, school stakeholders, teachers, students, parents, community, and all of the things that interact with the students' learning. And what are their roles in the curriculum process? Among them, who should be more active? So you have to think about these questions all the time. All right, that actually sums up first part of my murmurings on educational foundations or curriculum foundation that might be helpful for the listeners. If you like it, just like the burden, and then press the button and then get going. Thank you for listening, and I'll tune in for the next one. I'll be putting the philosophy and then also the latest thinking on that side.